Five, four, three, two, one. And it's Saturday, June 13th, recorded live from the English Valley's History Center. Here's Jackie.
Hello, my name is Jackie Geringer McDermott. This diary was written by Libby Wade. She was my dad's great aunt, and her full name was Mary Elizabeth Claypool Wade. She was 76 years old in 1950. She lived in a house on East Oak Street in North English, Iowa, with her son, Russell Wade. Here is a picture of Lib on the left with her sister-in-law, Minnie Claypool. And here's a picture of her son, Russell. November 13th, 1950. Nice and clear today. Sun is shining. I baked 2 pumpkin pies and a dish of beans today. The oven does fine. They look good. Been so long since I've done any baking. Just wondered if I could. After dinner, I washed the dishes. Then Maud came. Maud Foster Claypool lives down the street and is married to Lib's nephew, Ray Claypool, the son of Lib's brother, Verner, or Vernie Claypool. Mary R. stopped as she went to town, brought a ball of crochet thread, yellow. Said she would be in again as she goes home. Mary Wade Regseger was an old friend from Green Valley who now lives in town and walks uptown to do her errands. Either she is giving a ball of crochet thread to Lib for her to custom make something for her, or possibly it is a gift because Mary can no longer use the thread. Here is a picture of Mary with her mother in her younger days. Mrs. Trace McDonald stopped in a while too. She was pretty tired. Had been helping put on storm windows. Too hard for her. Anne Theresia Kelly McDonald, or Trace McDonald, is 63 years old and works as the housekeeper for Father Dugan at the Catholic Church over on Boland Avenue. Since Trace is in a friendship group with Lib's friend Mary Kelly Newhouse, who was raised Catholic, Lib is getting acquainted with her when she stops by the house. In fact, both of their maiden names are Kelly, but I haven't found their relationship connection yet. I began to feel sick in the p.m. Not over my liver spell, I guess. Pain in intestines, and my head was swimming. Ate too much dinner, I suppose. Took some of Russell's medicine. May be all right soon. Russell ate alone. I was too sick to want anything. Russell stayed at home. Was a special lodge meeting, but he didn't go. I was glad he stayed, for I felt pretty tough myself. November 14th, 1950. Must be some warmer, for it is foggy. I feel better this morning. Russell ate a bite and went before I was up. I drank a cup of coffee and did what had to be done. Got dinner, ate a little. First I've eaten since yesterday dinner. Felt better in the p.m. Washed dishes and cleaned up the kitchen. Russell went to Sigourney for his arthritis shot at noon, as soon as he had eaten. Mary Newhouse came in a while in the afternoon. I crocheted on a pattern Mary R. brought. It looks easy, but I don't get it quite right. Mary Newhouse is another friend and neighbor who often runs errands for Lib. Russell went after supper to Williamsburg with Mildred. Mildred Reese is Russell's girlfriend, and they often go to events in the evening. The Rebecca are having initiation tonight and also honoring the 25-year members. I would like to be there, but my foot says no. They could honor me twice, as I've been a member for 52 years. Rebecca is a women's social religious group that meets on the second floor of the Locker building a half a block away. The only way to get to the second floor of that building in those days was by a steep stairway up the back of the building. Nowadays, there is an elevator inside the building. Lib has something wrong with her foot that causes her to be disabled. Lib was honored by the Rebeccas for 60 years of membership later in life And here's the picture from that day with granddaughters Hazel Wade, Evelyn Kurtz, and Belva Yoss presenting her with the jewel. Hattie called over, had planned to come, but Merlin and Ruth came. Hattie Newberry Killian is a friend, and she runs a boarding house on Boland Avenue about a block away. Ruth Newberry Bursler is Hattie's sister, and she is married to Merlin Bursler. November 15th, 1950. Much warmer today, cloudy. I have a little fire in the stove turned low, but the house is too hot. I think I need a little fire, so I open the door a while and get fresh air. Men are digging up the water pipes in the street between Mrs. Bowers and Ray's. The water was shut off a while. Vic Van Dyke came and told me to turn it on. It is okay after it runs a while. Was rusty at first. Nice to get the work done while it is not too cold. Vic and Dyke did the work, I think. Mrs. Anna Bauer lived just south of Lib on Southeast Street. Ray Claypool and his wife Maud lived nearby too. Vic Van Dyke, the city employee, notified Lib to turn on the water again. Vic was the grandfather of my faithful listener, Vicki Johnson from California, and I'm guessing Vicki might have even been named after Vic Van Dyke. Dyke, his assistant, I believe might have been Dyke Dennis, but we'd need more research on that, as I am only guessing. I ate dinner and felt better after that. I haven't been hungry lately. Russell brought some beef to boil. I put it in the well. No bother at all. Lib's new electric stove has a feature like this stove pictured. There is a recessed burner on the back row with a pan that sits down in the stove like a well. Mary Ann stopped in, showed me what was wrong with my crochet work. Flossie was in a while. Then Elsie Miller came. She had not been down lately, not been very well. Lib's 3 visitors this afternoon were Mary Newhouse, the neighbor that often runs the errands for Lib, Flossie West, the granddaughter of Lib's cousin Wallace Claypool, who stops by when she is in town, and Elsie Miller, an old friend from the Green Valley area east of town. This is such a nice day to be out. Warm, almost like summer. I turned the fire off before noon. Temperature 76 degrees today. Colder tonight. Stella came up later in the p.m. She said Millie was over today. Worried about some legal business. Tom Markwell is sick. Stella thinks he is bad off. Stella Markwell Wallace is the mother of Lena Wallace Wade, who is married to Lib's son, Warner Mike Wade. Stella's brother is Tom Markwell. Talked to Bertha. Marvin is in Houston Hospital. Glenn is still at home. Don't know when he will go, or may not go at all. Works on the big dam at Conesville. Bertha Claypool Geringer is the daughter of Lib's brother, Arthur Benton Claypool, and Bertha was my paternal grandmother. Marvin and Glenn are 2 of her sons. Glenn is on the left in this picture in his Navy uniform from World War II, taken in 1942. In 1950, he was married with 3 young sons and had been hoping to re-enlist during the Korean conflict, but I don't believe that wish ever came true. Marvin is second from the right in this picture in 1942. In 1950, when the diaries are being read, he was in the Air Force and was battling an infection, who has been sent to the hospital in Houston. November 16th, 1950. Cold, windy, and cloudy. Russell went to CR today, so I am alone. Been doing some mending and a little other work. Washed out a few pieces. Russell drives a truck for the Home Lumber Company and sometimes is sent to Cedar Rapids. Flossie came in. I asked her to price some articles uptown, and she brought some for me to see. I kept one, $2.19, and she returned the other. Have to get someone to do things for me. I feel better today, but haven't eaten anything. Drank some coffee this morning. Cooked and ate some oatmeal about 2 o'clock. Flossie came down to write some letters. She took one for me to the post office. I sent for Folger Christmas cards. Flossie is to work at the record office this evening for a while, folding papers. Maud was here a while. Mr. Faree is at home. Came home from the hospital last Monday. Elroy's father is still in the hospital. Broken ribs and injured knee. May be there for some time. They haven't x-rayed yet. Maud is talking about the family of her son-in-law, Elroy Hervey. His grandfather, Will Faree, had been hospitalized for illness, and his father, Charlie Hervey, was severely injured in a car accident where Elroy's mother, Blanche Hervey, was fatally injured. Russell went away after supper. Jenny came up. Frida is still there, expects to go home tomorrow. Jenny went to see R yesterday, Christmas shopping. Evelyn is going tomorrow. Jenny is married to Lib's oldest son, Wayner Perky Wade, and they live a block south. Their daughter-in-law, Frida, the wife of Walter or Bud Wade, has just given birth to their third child, so she has been staying with their in-laws. Frida and Bud live just around the corner. Evelyn Kurtz is Jenny's married daughter, who is the mother of 2 young girls. Jenny had a letter from Dolores. She is taking treatments now and is some better. Has to go 25 miles to the doctor. Dolores Butterbaugh Lawrence is Jenny's sister in Minnesota, who has been ill for some time. Mr. Carson is in Sigourney Hospital again. Mrs. Carson feels better, but is bad off. W.C. Carson and his wife Belle, who are shown on the right and left side of this picture with Pearl Warner at the library, are elderly neighbors across the street. Mrs. Carson has cancer. This is George Moore's birthday. George Moore was a neighbor when the family lived in Yankee Point area north of town years ago. The English Valleys History Center has been operating on Main Street in North English since 2006. The center operates a museum, monthly programming, a community coffee shop, and provides meeting spaces for groups and organizations. These include family and class reunions, celebrations, gatherings, and club meetings. The History Center offers all of its services by donations only. It does not have annual memberships like many other historical organizations and relies largely on private and community donations. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and donations are tax deductible. Your support of the History Center would help continue its operations and provide a valuable community asset. Please send donations to the English Valleys History Center, P.O. Box 70, North English, Iowa 52316. Everyone, please check out the post on my personal Facebook page from yesterday or on the Knoll Ridge pool site. The pool is open for business again. Thank you to everyone for their generous donations. You might remember last week we showed these signs that will be posted along the Smoky Road Trail that starts at an entrance on Boland Avenue along the old railroad spur that is long gone. The main line of the railroad came through the heart of town north of the present-day Casey's store, but the spur line was to bring the train to the businesses on the north end of town. Coal, cream, bricks, and butter. According to Carl Hogendorn, longtime editor of the North English Record, Commerce was such in North English around the turn of the century that the Milwaukee built a spur track from the east outskirts of town westward to the Smith Brick and Tile Company to haul the firm's products. Later, rail cars on this spur took coal to the Merle Smith Coal Company and transported millions of pounds of South Iowa brand butter in refrigeration cars from the English Valley's Cooperative Creamery, destined for Chicago and New York markets. He also shared that longtime resident Noah Miller worked in many years for the Milwaukee Railroad. Noah likes to dwell on the days that North English had 4 passenger trains, 2 regular freight trains, and some extra freight trains each day, said Hogendorn. And according to Carl Hogendorn, on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings, the North English stockyards was a wild and busy place. Pete Dansdale would ship 12 carloads of livestock from North English each weekend. Back in those days, everything came in or left town by rail. Monty Lutton received many cars of coal each year. Homer Kirkpatrick shipped out many cars of cream. Each day, big wooden boxes of bread would be received by local merchants. That's the way it was in North English many years ago. And here are some pictures of those trains. And here is the brick and tile plant. And here's the creamery building with the spur track plainly showing just south of the building. And here's a shot of the depot. And here's a shot of the depot, plainly showing the 2 sets of tracks. The depot was south of the present-day Foss Feed and Grain. These train pictures will be unveiled along Smoky Road Trail on Friday, July 24th at 5:30 p.m. Last week, we showed that Reverend Edwin Jordan had donated the composite picture of the North English class of 1941. Here it is close up. The picture has already been added to the new display case. Be sure to look for the class composites when you come to the English Valley's History Center for the alumni gathering after the parade during North English Fun Days on July 25th. (1946) North English Library Cookbook. Carolyn Warner Elwood brought in this North English Library Cookbook. I think it's from 1946, although there was also a 1930s version. I noticed that it looks like most of the contributors of the recipes were women who lived in town, so I chose the ones who were Lib Wade's friends to share with you. Carolyn is going to donate the cookbook to the library or the History Center. I will post the recipes on Facebook in case you would like to copy them. There's Gertie Claypool's. Hattie Killian's. Jenny Wade's. Lita Lavelle. Maud Claypool. Mrs. C.E. Van Dyke and Mrs. Wayne Wade would be Jenny. Mrs. Van Aken and Mrs. Old Doc or Elizabeth Miller. Pearl Warner. Verdi McKinstry and Mrs. Dow Mason. Bertilla Hogendorn. And Lib Wade. Recipe for cornbread. It looks really simple. I'll be posting these on my own Facebook page and then on the graduates page. The history page. Viola Middlecoff's Afghan. Viola Middlecoff brought this lovely crochet work that she designed and created to the coffee time at the English Valley's History Center last Saturday. We really enjoyed seeing her artwork. Viola took the Afghan to Bingo in Marengo on Wednesday with the intention to donate it as a door prize. The Legion commander, Morris Denson, said that the Afghan would be kept and displayed because it is so beautiful. Correspondence. Mark Claypool from Sigourney said, Jackie, you have some wonderful pictures this week and triggered memories that my granddad Happy Claypool used to talk about. Wonderful week. Thank you again for your great work. Pam Kavanaugh-Shield from Cedar Rapids commented, thanks for the great broadcast. Enjoyed the sharing of your trips on Facebook. Was wonderful seeing you and everyone at the alumni lunch on June 1st. So many memories you shared. Sharon Wilhite Hagen from Williamsburg said, was very interesting again. I forgot about the Carters being my relatives. Thanks for telling me. I will be gone on another mini vacation next week. I'm headed out with my classmate, Helen Kirkpatrick Schwietert of Lake Placid, Florida and Colesburg, Iowa. We are going first to her cottage in Guttenberg and then meeting up with our classmate, Diane Bonneter Cassens of Maricopa, Arizona and Lanark, Illinois. We will be touring Galena, Illinois, where I have never stopped before, and then on to the Timberlake Playhouse in Mount Carroll, Illinois, where we will be attending the play Les Miserables. On the way home, Helen and I will be stopping in Galena again to see the home of President U.S. Grant. So I will be returning again with a broadcast on June 27th. Carter, Iowa, and the Yankee Point Families, Part 1. Since I told the story of the Claypool families, several of my faithful listeners have asked about the Carter families. So I will do a weekly installment on Carter, Iowa, and the Yankee Point families. This is Part 1. The Yankee Point families had a church and a school and a cemetery, and at one time a little town named Carter with a post office, a grist mill, and houses. Carter, Iowa was at the site of the current Chester Ballard Farm, which is on N Avenue just south of the English River. The perimeters of Yankee Point surrounded Carter, Iowa, and are roughly described in modern terms as from M Avenue north of North English to Q Avenue east of North English, and from 305th Street on the north to almost as far south as 325th Street, or the paving in some places. The township it is in is called Fillmore Township. Our ancestors came about the time of the Civil War, and some descendants have remained in this area. The town of North English would be just off the bottom left corner of this picture. Most of the houses are now in the English Valley School District because Yankee Point School was absorbed into the English Valley's district. The areas called Green Valley and Hinkletown are further to the east and south, but are still mostly in the English Valley School District. This is taken from a story by Carl Hogendorn in the North English Record in 1978. Well, Carter, Iowa was a flourishing little town northeast of North English before the Milwaukee Road went through this area. Carter was located 4 miles northeast of North English, or 1 mile south of the Yankee Point School, the corner where the Don R. Kaufmans now live. And I'd like to interject that that house was recently just owned by Farrell and Kathy Cockerham. Chester Ballard now owns the land on which the town of Carter was located, and that's now the Chester Ballard estate. The Carters, who founded the town of Carter, were ancestors of the late Art Carter and Gladys Ermshire. They were David, Edwin, Jake, Oscar, and William Carter. Other residents of that early day in the town of Carter were Samuel, Jonathan, and William Claypool, Daniel Welch, Frank Pettibone, Frank Farlow, Patrick Ryan, the Stover family, Bill Whitmore, and Austin Butler. The Carter family was originally from New York State and moved to Iowa after stopping in Illinois on their way westward. The Carters that arrived in the late 1850s were Anna Bramer Carter Raines, who was the widow of Benjamin Carter, and her new husband, the Reverend William Raines, who she married in Will County, Illinois in 1849. Anne was called Grandma Raines. Her children were the infant Charles Raines, who lived 7 months in 1856 and is buried out at Yankee Point Cemetery with her and Mr. Raines. And Anne's older children were all the children of Benjamin Carter, who died at age 44 and is buried in New York State. The Carter children were Armilla Carter Pettibone and her 5 brothers. William Carter, who was married to Harriet Holden, and the other brothers who I don't have pictures of, including my ancestor, Stephen Carter, and his brothers Oscar, Jacob, and David Carter. I will tell you more about each of these families in the following weeks. Also, Anne Bramer Carter Raines' sister, Sally Bramer, was married to Josiah Warner, and there are Warner descendants here in North English too. So I will have some chapters about some of the other families in the future too. A cousin of the Carter boys and their sister Armilla was named Edwin Carter, and Edwin arrived in Iowa County about 1870. Edwin Carter later moved to South Dakota, but some of his descendants remained in this area. For example, his daughter Esther, who married Wallace Moore, his daughter Cynthia, who married Herman Woodard, and his son Asa, who married Sarah Turner and then Florence Rogers. Several of Asa's children helped me with my Carter history when I first started doing genealogy, including Rella Carter Arnold from Arizona, who was 90 years old in the 1970s and wrote me a letter about everything that she remembered about Yankee Point when she taught school there before she was married, and her sister, Esther Carter Flory from Tipton, who wrote to me regularly and had lived at Yankee Point and had children my dad's age. And now I'm missing a picture, which I'll show you next week. Asa's son, Wallace Melvin or Dutch Carter, was the grandfather of some of my faithful listeners, including Beth Carter from here in North English, and Dean Carter from New Jersey, who are also related to the Hardy family on their mother's side. I was also pleasantly surprised one time years ago when a descendant of Edwin Carter walked into the Iowa County Genealogy Society in Marengo when I was volunteering there. He was Paul Carter from Canada, and his ancestors had been raised out in South Dakota. We stayed in touch, and I learned a lot from him. The next alumni luncheon will be at the Main Street Pub and Grub on August 31st. Please contact Alice Stramer or Linda Carter for seating. (2026) programs. The next program will be Sunday, June 28th at 2 p.m. Mike Williams from Kyoto will be presenting Automotive History, a Personal Obsession. Mike is a retired teacher from Kyoto. Our sympathy this week to the family of Patricia Bauer Wade. Pat was married to Ron Wade and was the mother of my faithful listener, Rita Wade from New York City, and her siblings. Pat is shown here with her family in 1964. They are from back left: Rita Bauer, Pat Bauer, Charlie Bauer, Eddie Bauer, and in front their mother Edith Bauer, Bruce Bauer, Bernie Bauer, and Father Fred Bauer. We are also interested in learning about historical English Valley's items that you might wish to donate to the History Center. Please contact Dave Jackson, Scott Romine, or any board member to donate. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.